In this video, I'm going to share with you how to figure out what it costs to provide an hour of labor to your clients. This is a little known secret that most people don't understand, but it'll actually change the way you think about pricing, and it's going to make you way more profitable. You're never going to feel bad about charging a decent price again once you get your head around this. So, it's going to help you understand why that when you charge out, $90, $100, $110, $120 an hour, whatever it is, and you're only paying your team $30 or $35 or whatever it is, you think there's a great spread there. It's going to help you understand why there's not as much cash in your bank account as you thought there probably should be. Buckle up. This is going to be a few numbers in this. It's going to take a little bit of understanding, but I think you'll love it when you get your head around it. So we do have a worksheet for this, which you can go through and do all of this calculation for yourself in your own business. So if you'd like a copy of the worksheet, click the download link and we'll just blast it straight out to you. So make sure you do that. I think you'll find this massively helpful. So really important to get this right, because if you don't, it's going to make your life difficult. And if you do, it's going to be a lot more fun. So a couple of key principles to understand with this. The first thing is, and this is where a lot of this goes wrong, is we really have to account for unchargeable. So when you, look, the trouble with being an employer, we get this kind of this special privilege, right? We get to pay for everything. So if our employees, our team are working for a whole year, that's 52 weeks. 52 weeks a year at 40 hours a week is 2,080 hours. That's what we pay. The problem is they don't work for all of it. In fact, there's a large percentage of it that they don't work at all. And so you've got to think about things like vacation time and holiday time, maybe sick leave, maybe there's some public holidays or bank holidays, statutory holidays, whatever you call them where you're based, in your country or state. We all have those kind of things where, as the employer, we get the special privilege just to pay, but not to get any production. There's training time. So all of that stuff factors in. Basically what it means is you're paying for the whole employee, but you can't charge them out the whole of the time that you're paying for. Therefore, the cost per hour of providing service to the client, who ultimately needs to pay for this, is much higher. So that's the first thing. So pretty much we have to spread that cost out over the chargeable hours. Otherwise, we're in trouble, and this is a big problem. So we've got to account for the unchargeable. Makes a huge difference. Now we're going to have a worksheet. I'm going to take you through this, put some numbers in, it'll all make sense. If you want a copy of the worksheet, click the download if you're watching this later on, and we'll shoot it straight out to you. So that's the first principle. The second one is you need to add in overheads. So every business has a bunch of costs which aren't related to, well, they are kind of related, but not directly related to doing the job. And I know a lot of us are like, oh geez, overheads are a pain, I don't need them. But actually, if you want to run a successful business that you can grow and that you aren't doing everything, you probably need some help in the office. And if you're a smaller business, maybe you've got an office administrator or some customer service reps. As you grow, you're going to get estimators and operations managers and forepeople, marketing people, BDMs, all that sort of stuff. They help your business grow. But we do need to factor that stuff into providing the service. And so overheads are all those things like, lease on your buildings or workshops, accounting fees, marketing fees, wages and salaries for your office people, not for your for the people in the field on the tools, accounting, all that sort of stuff, and it all adds up. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we actually factor these costs into getting the jobs done. And so we want to spread that cost over the hour that it takes for us to do the job. We want to get an hourly estimate of how that impacts the cost of actually providing the service. In other words, we need to recover those overheads in some way. Otherwise, things are going to be a bit upside down. So it's definitely part of the cost. Okay, last thing is knowledge is power. I think this is super important. So you've got to use this information when you're actually pricing. We want to get in there, understand what our costs are. It's going to give us that confidence to actually price properly. When you understand what the costs are, basically you've got a good handle on how your business runs. And this is, like right now, there's some crazy stuff going on in the world, right? With prices for materials going up, it's really difficult to get supplies. There's a lot of pressure on wage rates as well, because quality tradespeople and technicians are really hard to find. So we've got to be all over this, in case otherwise, we could lose our shirt with the cost just going up, and we don't adjust accordingly. Alrighty, so 3 things to really understand: get your unchargeables, understand that, get your overheads in, and use this information so that you can be on the front foot with all your pricing and understanding the numbers. If you don't do this stuff, you're just going to lose money. If you do, you're going to make more money. Simple as that. It's going to make life a whole lot better. And when you're making more money, you feel better about things, obviously, and you feel a lot more proactive and calm as well. Alrighty. So let's jump in and have a look at how this spreadsheet works, because this is going to be fun. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance. There are a few numbers here. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. It's pretty simple. You can plug your own numbers in, but it's a few numbers, and sometimes they can be a bit dry. So I'll do my best to make them interesting. So let's jump in and have a look at how it works. So I'm going to do an example with you. You can plug your own numbers in and see how it works for you. So first thing is, we just want to write down in box A how many field employees we have. So when I say field employees, I mean people you've got out on the job, out on the tools, out in the field doing work. Okay. So yours could be, it could be 2 people, it could be 50 people. It'll just depend. So let's say I'm just going to work an example with 5 people. Simple as that. Now I just want to say there are lots of different ways you can price your jobs. There are lots of different ways you can work out costs. That's fine. This is definitely one way. You're going to find it super helpful. You may try and do something slightly different with it. That's fine. But just follow along with this. It's going to give you some really solid information as well. So we've got 5 employees. Now this next field here, box B, is absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. This is your annual chargeable hours, okay, per employee. So this is really where the rubber meets the road. So as I said before, you've got 52 weeks a year at 40 hours. Total time you pay is 2,080 hours. Okay, but then we need to take off all the time that you can't charge. All right. Now I've put a placeholder in there of 1,640 hours. Hey, in your setup, it might be a little bit more than that that's chargeable. Maybe it's a little bit less. It's going to depend on where you're based, what state, what country you're in, because there's different rules in different places. But how did I come to that figure? Well, let me show you an example of how we came to that figure. So we have 2,080 hours per year. Excuse my writing, it's not the best. You'll get the picture. And then we take off, less vacation. Told you my spelling's no good, but you'll get the idea. Vacation. Hey, where I'm based, there's a lot of paid vacation, paid holidays. It's actually 160 hours a year. Sick leave is 80, where you're based it maybe none at all or just a little bit. There is some public holidays, which as an employer you get the benefit of paying for. So where I'm based, it's actually 88 hours a year. It's 11 days. Let's assume some training time. Training time, maybe 10 days a year. It might be a bit less or a bit more. Non-chargeable time. Non-chargeable, maybe let's say 40 hours. So you add all that up. Let's make this 80 so it's easy to add. What's that going to be? 320. It's 440. 440 of unchargeable hours that you're paying for that you can't charge out. So that's how I come to that. You can just work that out in your head on a bit of paper what it might be in your situation, and you can change that figure in the spreadsheet as well. Okay, so that's how we come to that. Let's jump back into the spreadsheet. Okay, so 1,640. There we go. So that means we've got a total chargeable hours of 8,200. That's 5 times 1,640. Okay, no problem. That's how many hours we can charge out with our 5 people. Let's put our annual overheads in. Hey, this is going to vary depending on where you're at, what you're doing. I'm going to assume it's 275,000. just for a figure. Now, if you're off the tools yourself, you need to include your salary in this as well, because you want to make sure you get paid out of that. So then the next one is your total on tools wages. So all you want to do here is add up the hourly rate that you pay each of your employees. So I'm going to assume here that there's 5 people and we're paying them $35 an hour each, so that's $175. So that's cool. Now the rest of it's filled itself in. That's how easy this is, but I'm just going to talk you through how it looks. So $175, that's the total hourly wages that you pay. Box F here, we're simply going to multiply that by 1.3 because there's some other costs associated with wages. You've got some payroll taxes, maybe you make some contributions to retirement funds, 401k or super or KiwiSaver or whatever it is. Maybe there's some workers' compensation, accident compensation levies, a whole bunch of stuff you might pay. So we're just going to call that 1.3. That's going to give us $227.50 per hour that it's costing us. The next figure is the really important one. So this is a little bit of a mind bend. Just stick with me. I'm sure it'll make sense. What we want to understand is what is the total on tools hourly wages per chargeable hour. So what does it cost us to provide that 1 hour to our client, based on our wage costs? And it's $57.71. And the reason that's way higher than the 35 is pretty simple. You're paying them for the whole year, 2,080 hours, but you can only charge them out for 1,640 hours. So in effect, you don't have 5 employees working, you only have about 3.9, because at any one time, someone is away on training, someone's away on holiday, someone's sick, someone's not doing something that you can't charge. So that's the real kicker. So that's why that's so much higher. To actually provide that 1 hour of labour to get a job done for the customer, it just costs way more than what you're actually paying your team. And this is why often you're upside down with your pricing. Okay, the last thing is box H. So that's just an hourly cost of overhead. So we take our overhead figure in box D and we divide it by box C, which is the number of chargeable hours, and that's $33.54. So total, real hourly cost of providing the service to your customer is $91.24. So that's way more than the $35 that you thought it cost. And this is why it's so important to understand what it actually costs you to provide that hour of labour to your client, and why when you're pricing your work, you've got to have some really solid margins in there. Otherwise, you're just not going to make enough money. Now, I know this is just your labour, and you've also got the materials that you can mark up, which you should be, and you're going to make some profit in there. 100% you need to, and you can see what the labour costs, and make sure you get some good margins off your materials. And this is why, for some people who do sort of labour-only contracting, it's actually pretty difficult to make money because the cost of providing labour is way higher than you think. Okay, so hope that is helpful. I know there's a lot to cover there. You can grab the copy of this worksheet, just write cost in the comments or click the download button. Have a play with it yourself. You can go back and watch the video again if you need a bit of help to get it explained. We've got the instructions there as well. Massively important, team, to understand that cost of providing the service, and it's way more than you thought. When you understand that you're going to charge properly, you're going to make more profit, you're going to feel really confident about charging, and you're going to have the money in the bank to actually grow your business and provide a great lifestyle for yourself and your family, which is what it is all about. So the numbers don't lie. Business, the numbers are the language of business, so we really got to get our head around this. Hope you found this super helpful. I've really enjoyed sharing it. I think it's critical to understand. Grab the downloads, get into it, have a play with it yourself, and make sure that pricing is right on the mark so you put yourself in the money. Hey, I hope you liked the video. Check out all the other videos in the channel and like and subscribe.